Okay, good evening and welcome to a special Moshe Shabbos edition of Just Daf It. Daf Yomi Shaled by the one, the only, Benzi Lang. Tonight we're starting the 10th parak of Maseches Nedarim, the most yeshivish parak in Maseches Nedarim, one of the most yeshivish parakim in all of Shas. So if you're debating whether to join a yeshiva and you're looking around, which yeshiva to join, maybe you're looking for a gap year yeshiva in Israel, maybe you're looking to join the Mir in Yerushalayim, or Beis Medrash Gavo in Lakewood. This is yeshiva also. This is yeshiva YouTube. You don't have, from the comfort of your own house, you can stay in your own house, your own apartment. Just tune in for an hour a day. I give you 6 or 7 shiurim a day. You'll cover Gemara, Mishnah, Shulchan Aruch, and give you a taste of Ian in all of them, and develop your skills in Ian just by listening to me for 1 hour. You gain so much knowledge and skill in terms of delving into the Gemara. And you can practice it on your free time. Whenever you have free time, you want to learn a little bit. So it's a free yeshiva. It's on YouTube, available exclusively on Ben Seal Lang's channel. And that's my channel. If you didn't know that I'm Ben Seal Lang, I am Ben Seal Lang. So you could always have that opportunity, avail yourself of that opportunity. It makes sense in today's modern world. Brick and mortar is gone. We do e-commerce. There's no more brick and mortar yeshivas. There's yeshiva YouTube. That's where it's at nowadays. If you're a millennial or Generation Z, or maybe even the Alpha generation, or you're a baby boomer, or Generation X, this is the time to jump aboard the yeshiva, the technologically advanced yeshiva of 2022, going into 2023. Give yourself a New Year's present if you celebrate New Year's by joining Yeshiva YouTube for free. You don't have to pay anything. It's great. And you get probably, arguably, the best shiurim, the most shiurim, and the best shiurim, and the most in-depth shiurim you're going to find anywhere in the world. You're not going to find shiurim of my quality and quantity, with so much knowledge and so much depth, anywhere else in the world. You can travel from to any of the biggest yeshivas in the world, Beis Medrash Gavoa, the Mir in Yerushalayim. You can try out different shiurim. You have to travel to all these places, get into the shiurim, sit down with a piece of paper and pen and listen to them. All you got to do with me is flip on your phone, link into YouTube, type in Ben Sion Lang. If it's not in your feed already, it should be. It should be on notifications. And you got your share every day. You can learn Daf Yomi, a whole Daf every day. Most yeshivas, they learn 10 Daf in a whole year, 20 Daf in a whole year. You learn with me, you learn 365 Daf a year. It's pretty darn good. Plus, you learn 365 times 2 Mishnayos. So that's, we're talking 730 Mishnayos a year, plus around 250 Simonim in Shulchan Aruch. A simon is not just halacha. It could be 20, 25 halachas. So if you're not part of the bandwagon, you might want to start jumping in right now, because this is where the future of learning is headed. Only on my channel, not any fake Torah site like Torah Anytime or something like that. Come on. You got quality. You got a Maggid Shir like me. I could be a Maggid Shir in any yeshiva, even the Mir. Possibly if I was a Maggid Shir in any yeshiva. I think I would have the biggest following, more than Asher Arieli. If you listen to my shiurim, you'll know why. And I do much more than him, many more shiurim, and many more chidushim than him. Most of his chidushim are on his own. He learned them from Rav Nachum Pertzovitz, his Rebbe. These are my chidushim. These are unique. Let's start. Nara Murasa, the bottom, the last line in Samagom Abayas 66b. Nara Murasa Avil Baal Mafir Nedarel. There is a special parsha in the Torah, in Bamidbar, Parshas Matos. The beginning talks about Hafaras Nedarim. Now, until now we talk about Hataras Nedarim. Most people are familiar with Nedarim. You're Matir and Neder. You're going from a base in Rosh Hashanah. Erev Rosh Hashanah, you're Matir Nedarim, quote unquote. Not really Matir Nedarim, because you have to tell you what the Neder is. But if it really is a Matir and Neder, right, usually you do the Pesach. Say, if I would have known something at the time I took the Neder, I didn't want to take the Neder. So really the Neder, you use the Beis Din who convenes, is just a means of, telling you what a valid Pesach is or not. Really, the Beis Din's not doing anything, just clarifying what the right Pesach is. A Charat that works a little differently. Now we're going to talk about Hafaras Nedarim, which means to block a neder. This is a special portion of the Torah, only applies in a specific circumstances. It applies between a woman and her husband and a woman and her father. Meaning, when a woman is not married and she's a Nara or a Katana or a Nara, and she makes a neder, so her father has the ability to make for her Nedarim. He can't make for the Nedarim of his son, but his daughter he can. Once she's a Bulgaris, she's 12 and a half, and has Simonim, he can't be made for a Nedarim anymore. Now, a husband also, whether she's a Bulgaris, however old she is, when a man marries a woman and he does nisuin, it's a complete marriage, he brings her under the wedding canopy, brings her into his room, then the husband has the ability to be made for her Nedarim, to block her neder. We'll see why it's easier to just block a neder than to go to a beis din and matter neder. It's a convenience the Torah gave, because girls have problems sometimes. They, take crazy things on themselves, like diets, crazy diets on themselves. The Nedarim, right? You're answering certain foods by yourself. So the Torah made this allowance for, I think, means of convenience for the father and the husband. And we're going to start off the parak today by Nara Morasa, where she's actually engaged. A woman who's engaged and she's still a Nara, right? If she's engaged and she's a Bulgaris, right? So no one can really be made for her Nedarim because she's not married yet. If she's, not sure about that actually, but if she's a Nara, where she's not 12 and a half, she's still only 12 years old. She's not 12 and a half, so her father and her husband, this is a unique chiddush of this Mishnah, they made for her Nedarim together. They're made for her neder together. You need both of them to say that they reject their neder. It's actually harder to do this. It's easier to do when you're married or when you're single. Just you need one, the father or the husband. Hey for Abel, hey for Abal, top of San Zion, when Aleph. Whether the father is made for and the husband is not made for. Hey for Abal, hey for Abel. Or alternatively, if the husband is made for and the father is not made for, it doesn't work. Even if one is made for, the other one's not. It doesn't work. And certainly, if one of them is Makayim the neder, right? You have an option to reject the neder, made for it, to block it. Or if you don't like your wife or don't like your daughter or want to put them in their place, so you have the ability to Makayim the neder, right? If you don't do anything, the neder stands, right? After 24 hours, the neder will stand. If you don't do anything, you have a 24-hour period to be made for the neder. And if you don't do anything, after 24 hours, it becomes binding neder. And the only way to get rid of it is to go in front of a beis din and matter neder. During those 24 hours, you could be made for, or Makayim the neder. You could actually say Makayim is the opposite of annulling it. You say, I want the neder to stick, in which case the halachas are seemingly more severe. That's what the Mishnah is teaching over here. One of them is Makayim within the 24 hours. The other one has no recourse. Even if he's Mayfair, you need both of them to be Mayfair. We'll talk about why it says in Sarach Lomar Shakia. The Gemara says Hain Reisha. The first two lines of the Mishnah are redundant. It says Naram Rasa Aviv Baal Meferin. You need both of them. And then it says, explains it. Hever Abel Hever Baal Hever Baal Hever Abel. Why are you repeating that? Mao the Sema Hain Reisha Aviv Baal Meferin Dara. Mao the Sema O Aviv Baal Yim Kasani. We might have thought the original same in the Mishnah. Naram Rasa Aviv Baala. Not Avia Ubayla, not the father and the husband. You need both of them, one or the other, Kamashman. That's why the Mishnah explains itself and says you need both of them. Why do you have to teach me that one of them affirms the neder? Obviously, if one of them affirms the neder, he's not made for it. Right? If only one of them is made for annuls the neder, the other doesn't do anything, it's not successful. What does it matter if one of them is made for one of the Makayim, right? It's worse. There is necessary to teach me that. Kids like going to Hefer Echad Mehem Makiyim Echad. Let's say one of either the father or the husband. Let's say the father was made for, and the husband, the future husband, the Aros, is engaged right now. He is Makayim. He affirms the neder. The Chazar Makayim initial hakamaso, right? When you affirm something, it's not definite, it's not permanent. So he goes to a beis din and he's matir his hakama. It's like a neder he made. When he's making the neder, he makes a neder to accept her neder. So he goes to a beis din and is matir his neder, his kiyum, right? Mao the same maida uki ha'akre. You might think when he goes, it's matir his affirming the neder. So therefore, when he went to the beis din, he annulled it. Therefore, the Mishnah needs to teach you that what? Now, this is a problematic Gemara because it's not clear what the Gemara is saying over here. I'm going to present you in the regular share with the opinions of two Rishonim, three Rishonim. Two Rishonim say one way, another Rishonim says another way. I have a third way, and I'll tell you my third way in Iyon Ben Sion, and I'll try to prove to you why I believe my way is better than the other ways the Rishonim give. But the main opinion over here is the Ran and the Ramban. They say the same thing. They basically said, explanation of the Gemara is as follows. The Gemara says, right? You would have thought, right, that well, this person, he was Makayim. Now he went to a base and he was Matir his Hakama. So he got rid of it, right? And therefore, what? You can just proceed and go ahead. Now, right, I affirmed it. I got rid of that affirmation. Now I can go ahead and let's say the husband affirmed it. The father already annulled it, and the husband affirmed it. So the husband could recant his affirmation, and then simply go ahead and deny deny the neder, and can't forget block the neder, reject the neder, join the father. The husband could do that. The chiddush is no, that you have to do it at the same time. So therefore, when you affirm the neder and you were matir that affirmation, now both, not just you, have to go revoke the neder. The husband or the arus, the father, a second time, it annulled his annulment also. It was mavatal, nullified his original annulment, and now the chiddush of the Gemara is that he has to go and annul a second time. That's the chiddush of the Gemara. He has to go and annul a second time. The Rambam has another shot of this Gemara that once you're making the neder, even if you're matir that hakama, it doesn't help anymore because you have to originally be made for annul the neder at the same simultaneously. Once you're makayim, and even though you're matir neder, the Rambam says you can no longer join the father and deny the neder and annul the neder. You can't do it anymore. That's the Rambam shita. I have a third shot. I'll save that for Yom Ben Sion. I think it's a much more simplistic shot. And I think that's the Kavan of the Gemara. There's a big nafkin in the Rambam. According to the Rambam, there's no way to be made for the neder anymore. According to the Ran and the Ramban, you have to do something else. The father has to go ahead and deny the neder, annul the neder. According to my explanation, nothing has to be done. Nothing extra has to be done. All the husband has to do is go and annul the neder after he was matir his akama. So the rest of it, where you know this in the Torah, right? That both of them are required to be made for the neder. I'm a rab, I'm a krav. Now, just for means of clarity, there's the beginning of Parshas Matos. There's three descriptions of a daughter making a neder. Well, the first couple of psukim talk about clearly a daughter who's not married. Her father is made for the neder by himself. There's no engagement. There's no husband involved. Then there's three psukim in the middle, which is one of these psukim. Is part of that, three psukim segment. And then there's after that segment, the last three psukim talk about in Beis Isha Nadara, where she takes a neder clearly after Nisuin, after she's fully married to the guy. So the middle three psukim where it says it's not clear how you see it. Is she married? Is she engaged? So now we're going to prove that, first of all, it's talking about engagement. Second of all, that both the husband and the father are necessary to be made from that together. So the Gemara says, when she's engaged, both the father and the husband have to make for it together. So the Gemara first challenges, when say, now the proof from this pasuk, right, it says in the psukim that the husband is made for the neder, or these psukim, we learn from the fact that the vav starts v'im hayos. It's going back on what the previous three psukim, which we're talking about when the girl was not married, not engaged, and her father is being made for the neder. So you're adding the previous psukim where the father to these psukim where the husband. That's where we know both of them. So the Gemara says, maybe this pasuk is also talking about a woman who's married. So like I mentioned before, the last three psukim talk about a married woman, a fully married woman. So the Gemara's challenges, maybe both psukim are talking about a woman who's fully married. Why does the Torah have to reiterate itself again? Because we're going to learn, there's a halacha, as a Mishnah coming up later, that a fully married husband, once he marries her fully and does nisuin, he can no longer be made for a neder that she made before she was married to him, even when she was engaged to him. If she made a neder, she was engaged or before the engagement, and then they got married, he no longer has the ability to make for that neder. And that's the second pasuk, right? One pasuk teaches me that a nesua, a woman is fully married, the husband exclusively is made for her neder. Second pasuk is to tell me that he's made for Bakoda. He's not made for Bakoda. He can't be made for neder. That happened before they got married. So the Gemara asks on Samach Zam and Beis, V'lav Mela Shmas Mina. Right? It says in Beis Isha Nadara, right? It says that if she takes a neder in her husband's house, her husband is made for the neder, right? For the fact that the structure of the pasuk says Beis Isha Nadara, right? So one pasuk suffices to teach me both things, right? You learn from the fact that it's talking about she gets the first part of the psukim talk about a girl is not married, and then according to this, according to the Gemara, the rest of the parsha is talking about where she's married. So you only need really one pasuk to tell me, right, that when she gets married, Beis Isha Nadara, right, like it says, if she takes a neder after she got married, Beis Isha Nadara, she took the neder after she got married. You can learn both things from that pasuk. Why do you two psukim to tell me? You can teach me both things from that. Why? There's no reason for a second pasuk. Elamai, the second pasuk must be talking about Eriston. Ibayazema. Alternatively, another proof that this pasuk is talking about Eriston. Havaya the Kiddushin Mashma. The Havaya Kiddushin Mashma. It says Hayotiya, right? It says that oftentimes in the Torah when it comes to a man and a woman having a relationship. Right? Havaya normally means Kiddushin. It means being engaged, not a state of marriage. So back to our Mishnah. Mishnah says you need both the husband and the father. So the Gemara says maybe just the father could be mefer, because it says v'im hayos yalish. So the vav talks about the father. Im kain v'asra isar beis avia yani osar lamali. Hashi yishlomer makom aris mefer av l'chudei. Shlomo makom aris mibaye. Why do you need the first three psukim in the parsha? Right, we're talking about when she wasn't married. Right, if when she's engaged, right. She's engaged to a man, and the Torah teaches you who owns the rights to annul her neder. Only the father. Why do you have to teach me when the daughter is not married? There's no husband, there's no man involved. Of course, the father is going to want to make for the neder. So the Gemara persists. Ema avli boy aris. So aris lechude mefer. Maybe no. If the father wants to make for a neder of his daughter who's engaged, they also need the aris. But maybe actually the aris by himself, if he wants to make for the neder, he could do it. Why does it mention anything about the father, right? V'im, you need it, right? Di hikim, right? There is a significance of the father. Technically, all you need is the aris. So why does the father need the aris, right? Because it is an afkamin, it is a practical ramification. If the husband annuls the neder, but the father is still active over here, if he stays silent, that's good enough. But if he affirms the neder, so that has an effect, and then when the husband, the aris, annuls it, it doesn't work by itself. So maybe that should be what the Torah is talking about. Why do you need the last three psukim? Beis Isha Nadara was talking about nesua. If that's true, right? That if the aris can make for the neder, and the father needs the aris. And also, if the aris does it, if the father's make him, if he affirms it, that would ruin the annulling of the husband. Makom av aris made for lechude. In the place of a father, right, Ariston, right, where she's partially in the interest of a father and partially in the interest of her husband, the aris could do it by himself as long as the father is not making. Shalom makom av mibai, right? Why do you need the next three psukim talk about she's married, right, where she's not even in her father's house at all? Why do you need to tell me that the aris could be mefer? Ema. So the Gemara persists. Ema in Beis Isha Nadara lomar she'ena bal mefer b'kolmin. So the Gemara says no. Really, you're right. We could have inferred it from the middle psukim, right? That the husband, once he's Ariston, he has full rights by himself, and certainly after Nisuin, the Beis Isha Nadara to tell me that after she's married, he can no longer be made for nadarim that happened before the marriage. So the Gemara says, "Minei aros mefer b'kodman." The Gemara says, but what would we infer from it? If you had a pasuk Beis Isha Nadara, right? Beis Isha Nadara tells me that a Baal can't be made for Bakol. Once he marries her, a full marriage, he can't be made for Nadarim that happened before the marriage, right? So obviously, I would conclude what? If she's just engaged, right? It says Beisha Adara. If Beisi Isha, she's literally in her husband's house in the Suin, then he can't be made for Kol. But Arus, right? If she's merely engaged, then the Arus could be made for, right? And Arus, he's engaged, he can be made for Nadarim even before the Erisin, right? Even before she's engaged. Arus made for Bekolman. And how does that work, right? If someone who's married to her can't be made for previous Nadarim. So now Arus also should be able to made for previous Nadarim. But we see from the Torah, only from Nisuin, he can't be made for, but Erisin, he could be made for. The only reason an Aris could be made for Nadarim before that she took before Erison is because the Torah is telling you that you need both, that both the Neder is in the Rishus of both her father and her husband as an Aris. And because she's still in the Rishus of her father, so therefore the Aris has the ability to be made for even Nadarim that happened before she became engaged, betrothed to him. And that's why, that's a rationale that the Gemara is saying. It must be that, like the Mishnah says, that when she's during the period of Erison, when she's engaged, you need both the annulment of the father and the husband together. And that is the proof of the Gemara at this point. We're going to bring out a second proof tomorrow. This is the proof of the Gemara at this point, that both the husband and the father have to be made for together, the Nadarim of an Arusa, someone who is engaged. That is the conclusion of tonight's share. Stay tuned for Ehud Ben Sion, where we talk about Hakama and being Matir Hakama, and Hakama means to affirm the Neder. And I gave you two explanations of the Gemara on Simon Zion and Aleph. I'll give you a more simplistic explanation, my own explanation. I don't know if another Rishon says this. I only know what the R scroll says. I don't learn all the Rishonim, contrary to what people think. I don't know what people think. They see my shirim, they think I go through Rashi, the Ran, Tosos, the Rush. I don't read any of these commentaries. I just read the Gemara. I go through the Gemara one time, in a very haphazard way, not haphazard, loose way, not even like paying attention to, just to get a feel for the Hebrew words over here and the structure of the Gemara. And then I'll go through it one time in English, very quickly. And I give the share. And, based on my knowledge of this Masechta from years ago. And, I'm saying my mind works quick because I developed my mind over the years. So if Andrew Tate knows he's the only opinion or the most competent opinion on how to attract a woman, I am the most confident opinion on how to understand the Gemara. And that's all I have to say about that. We'll stay tuned for Ehud Ben Sion, where I want to talk about this Gemara. I give a new explanation. Ehud Ben Sion coming up next.